Welcome to Haunted Stories. Feel free to support me by subscribing and liking, so I know that you enjoy my daily content. So huddle up, turn off the lights, and get ready to immerse yourself in the enigmatic world of horror tales. Don't skip the last story. I was so scared. First story, Shadows of the Asylum. Deep within the heart of the city stood the decaying remnants of the Roosevelt Asylum, an enormous complex that had once housed the mentally ill. Its towering walls were now a canvas for graffiti artists, and the shattered windows peered out like empty eyes. A group of urban explorers, drawn by the whispers of its history, embarked on a journey into the heart of the forsaken asylum. As they stepped through the shattered entrance, a chill gripped the explorers. The air was thick with the scent of decay, mingling with the acrid stench of old paint. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing long-forgotten corridors and grimy walls. The complex was a labyrinth, a maze of corridors leading to rooms that seemed to have lost their purpose. In one room, a rusted wheelchair stood as a reminder of the patients who once dwelled here. The group's anxiety grew as shadows danced along the walls, casting grotesque forms that seemed to mock their presence. Every creak of the floorboards sent shivers down their spines, and the distant echo of a door slamming shut resonated through the air. Their own breaths sounded unnaturally loud in the suffocating silence. Whispers seemed to dart around them, flickering in and out like the dying light of a candle. As they continued deeper, they stumbled upon the old morgue. The stainless steel tables were coated in layers of grime, and the walls were stained with remnants of a haunting past. The explorers exchanged uneasy glances, their courage tested by the unsettling atmosphere. In the corner of the morgue, they found an open doorway leading to a descending staircase. The stairs led them into an underground network of tunnels. Cold, damp air clung to their skin, and the sound of dripping water echoed like ghostly footsteps. Their flashlights revealed rusted pipes and discarded medical equipment, relics of a time when this place had been operational. As they wandered deeper, they stumbled upon a room filled with straitjackets, hanging like eerie cocoons from the ceiling. The realization that they were surrounded by the tools of mental restraint sent shivers down their spines. A sense of unease settled upon the group, their imaginations running wild. Whispers turned into distant screams, and the shadows seemed to twist into the forms of tormented souls. Panic crept into their voices as they retraced their steps, only to find the staircase leading further into the abyss. The exit had vanished, swallowed by the shifting corridors. Time lost its meaning as they wandered, their fear feeding into a never-ending cycle of uncertainty. Every now and then, they caught fleeting glimpses of figures lurking in the darkness, trickles of imagination or manifestations of their dread, they could not tell. Desperation set in, and their bonds began to fray as blame and hysteria tore through the group. In the end, they stumbled upon the morgue once again, its tables now lined with their own exhausted bodies. Exhaustion and terror had taken their toll, and the asylum's shadows had succeeded in their sinister dance. The explorers had become victims of their own fears, trapped in the labyrinthine web of their imagination, forever entwined with the haunted legacy of the Roosevelt Asylum. Second story, Echoes of Industry. The heart of the city once pulsed with the rhythm of industry, and the towering edifice of the Hamilton Manufacturing Complex was a testament to that era. Now, its colossal halls stood silent, abandoned to the passage of time. A group of intrepid urban explorers dared to tread within its labyrinthine corridors, seeking the secrets held within its rusting walls. The explorers entered through a shattered loading bay, their footsteps echoing through the cavernous space. The air was thick with the scent of oil and metal, and their flashlights danced along the remnants of machinery that lay dormant like ancient behemoths. Dust motes floated in the beams of light, caught in the interplay of industrial architecture and neglect. They navigated through passages that led to vast assembly halls. Conveyors that once hummed with activity were now silent, and the assembly lines stood as rusted skeletons of a bygone era. The clatter of machinery had been replaced by the eerie whisper of the wind, which slipped through gaps in the walls like ghostly fingers. Windows, once clean and clear, were now opaque with layers of grime, rendering the outside world a distant memory. In one of the chambers, they stumbled upon a forgotten office, its desk still cluttered with yellowing documents and a flickering fluorescent light. The room seemed suspended in time, a snapshot of a worker's life frozen in decay. The group shared a moment of contemplation, imagining the lives that had once been intertwined with the relentless heartbeat of the complex. As they ventured deeper, they found themselves in an area that seemed untouched by time, a control room with a bank of antiquated machinery. The dials and switches were frozen in positions that hinted at the moment the last worker had walked away. The atmosphere grew tense as they realized they were not alone. The soft whispers of distant conversations seemed to fill the room, the echoes of the past imprinted upon the very walls. The group's unease deepened as they explored further, coming across an area that had been turned into a makeshift living space. A tattered sleeping bag and a few scattered belongings hinted at someone's desperate attempt to find refuge within the abandoned complex. The air grew colder, and the flickering lights cast eerie shadows that seemed to dance with malevolent intent. Navigating the complex's labyrinthine passages, they discovered a stairwell leading downward, into a subterranean realm. The walls seemed to close in, and the explorers' breaths became ragged as they descended. The air grew damp and oppressive, and the smell of mildew mingled with the distant scent of oil. Torches mounted on the walls revealed a network of tunnels that branched out like arteries. In the depths, they stumbled upon a series of interconnected rooms. Metal cots lined the walls, and grimy mirrors reflected the explorers' apprehensive faces. The realization struck them. The complex had once housed workers who had labored tirelessly, only to find respite in these hidden chambers. The air grew thick with the weight of their toil, their dreams, and their frustrations. The group retreated from the underground chambers, their nerves frayed by the uncanny connection to the past they had just witnessed. As they emerged back into the light of day, the wind seemed to carry with it the faint echoes of industry, the clang of metal, the chatter of workers, and the distant hum of machinery. The explorers left the complex, their minds haunted not by spectral apparitions, but by the enduring echoes of human effort and the memories etched into the complex's very structure. Third story, Silence of the Mall. Once a bustling hub of commerce, the Grand Haven Mall now stood in eerie solitude, its corridors echoing with the footsteps of the past. A group of urban explorers entered its desolate halls, their flashlights cutting through the darkness that shrouded the abandoned shopping center. The scent of decay mingled with remnants of forgotten perfumes, and the glint of shattered glass windows cast fractured reflections across the floors. As they wandered through the maze of storefronts, the explorers marveled at the relics of consumerism: a shoe store with faded posters, a shuttered electronics outlet with obsolete gadgets, and a desolate food court where echoes of laughter had long faded. The empty benches, once occupied by weary shoppers, now seemed like forgotten relics of a distant era. In the heart of the mall, they stumbled upon a common area dominated by a grand fountain, now dry and cracked. The ceiling, adorned with a faded mural of blue skies and fluffy clouds, seemed to mock the present desolation. The group's footsteps echoed through the space, creating an odd sense of isolation even though they were together. As they explored further, the explorers discovered a stairwell leading downward into what appeared to be an underground level. The air grew colder, and the sound of dripping water became more pronounced. Their flashlights revealed a dimly lit corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly, lined with locked doors and forgotten storerooms. It was here that they encountered a presence that shattered their sense of isolation, a figure lurking in the shadows, watching them with an intensity that sent shivers down their spines. The stranger was a wiry man with unkempt hair and eyes that gleamed with a feral intensity. He stood in silence, his gaze unwavering as it bore into the explorers. Fear clung to the air like a tangible entity, and the group exchanged uneasy glances. Without a word, the man began to approach them, his steps deliberate. Panic set in, and the group turned to flee, retracing their steps through the labyrinthine corridors. The stranger's footfalls echoed behind them, growing closer with every passing moment. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, and their hearts pounded in their chests as they raced toward the mall's entrance. As they burst back into the main atrium, they realized that the mall's silence had transformed into a symphony of their own frantic footfalls. The glass windows, once barriers between the interior and the outside world, now seemed like a lifeline. With the stranger's presence still looming behind them, they smashed through the nearest window, their arms and legs cut by the shards of glass. Outside, the night air was a welcome relief, and the group continued to sprint through the parking lot, their adrenaline-fueled escape only coming to a halt when they reached the safety of the streets. They dared not look back, the memory of the stranger's predatory gaze forever etched in their minds. In the aftermath, the explorers vowed to never speak of their encounter within the abandoned mall. It wasn't supernatural forces that had haunted them, but the unsettling reality of a dangerous individual who had made the decaying complex his domain. The mall, once a beacon of consumerism, had become a hunting ground, and the explorers had narrowly escaped becoming prey to its most dangerous inhabitant. Thank you for watching whole video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash that like to support my free and daily content for you. If you enjoyed this video, drop a comment and tell me if it got you chills. See you for another scary tale video.